Hi, welcome to the Israel First television program with myself, Martin Blackham, and with my wife, Nathalie Blackham. Great to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us today. The first program of 2026. And as we leave 2025, the first one with news from Israel in 2026. By the way, although it's New Year, Gregorian, or in the Western world, we've already had New Year here in Israel in September, was it, Nathalie? Mm-hmm. We have Rosh Hashanah, the New Year, and it's the beginning. By the way, it's very interesting because it's the beginning of the school year, the beginning of university years is at Rosh Hashanah. It's not at, we don't start school in January, although you come back from your holidays, your Christmas holidays, but it isn't the time of the year where you start your school. So that's very interesting. Now, Friends of Zion Museum have launched a special exhibition. Nathalie, they've got a special AI hologram with the Prime Ministers of Israel, quite an interesting exhibition, and it's called the Press Conference, which is very interesting because one of the things that is prevalent in Israel, as you know, are press conferences. It's something that happens here all the time, for particularly with the war. We're in the middle of the ceasefire, by the way. But press conferences is something that's happening all the time in Israel. And so this exhibition at the Friends of Zion Museum in Jerusalem, some of you may have been there, is called the Press Conference. It's an AI exhibit which puts visitors in an unusual encounter, an interactive press conference with prime ministers. You can ask them questions and they will answer you. Visitors are able to experience the AI exhibit recreated through advanced AI hologram technology with the lookalikes of the following: David Ben-Gurion, Golda Meir, Yitzhak Rabin, who, by the way, we were in a press conference with him in real life. Yitzhak Rabin, Shimon Peres, Menachem Begin, Ariel Sharon, and of course the present Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. During the presentation, the Prime Ministers deliver statements and respond to questions from the audience with their original voices, creating an immersive encounter that blends history, technology, and public discourse in a way that's not previously been seen in Israel. Although I must say that they've had one or two AI holograms before, this is certainly interesting because it's one which is an exhibition. The ones before were just presentations. Daniel Vosek, Chief Executive Officer of the Friends of Zion Museum, said the exhibit was created in honor of the museum's 10th anniversary, 10 years that it's been in Jerusalem, in the center of Jerusalem, yes. 10 years. He says it's suitable for students of all ages, soldiers, families, anyone who feels a deep connection to Israeli values, history, and spirit. And he invites everybody to come and visit the museum to experience the exhibit and become part of the story. However, we must say, critics of generative AI images, or what's known as deep fake in the industry, are very concerned about the technology. Not everybody is clapping their hands that there's this technology which can be used to fool the general public into believing what they're seeing is real. In other words, they can use these images and you don't know if what you're seeing is the real person or the quotation marks deep fake. Recent report in Israel warns AI-powered generative images people are doing video calls, enabling criminals to impersonate executives from companies, doctors, lawyers in real time, with, believe it or not, cases rising. This is in 2024. 118%, Nathalie. Experts say everyone must be ready for this new type of fraud. In the past, audio deepfake, this has been the big scam, that you could hear the voice of somebody and not know it was not that person, has been a problem. Apparently, criminals have hacked executives' voices to steal millions. Now the threat has escalated to video. Advances in artificial intelligence are enabling criminals to run live deepfake calls, convincingly impersonating the faces and voices of people in power. A recent report warns AI-powered generative image video calls enable criminals to impersonate people, and everyone needs to be on their guard against this type of criminal activity that's happening. Now, one of the interesting things is we've had the ceasefire, as I mentioned at the beginning of the program, but we've also had the return of the hostages, the Israeli hostages. Israeli hostages have been released from 2 years of captivity in Gaza. However, many of them are struggling, or maybe even all of them really, are struggling to rebuild their lives. One in particular hostage is Segev Kalfon, who worked at his family's bakery in the town of Arad and was studying finance and investments before he was a hostage. During his 2 years he was held captive, Segev Kalfon had a recurring dream. Slowly walking through a supermarket, this is an Israeli supermarket, browsing each aisle for his favorite foods, taking in the brightly colored packages and smells. Now, a lot of people don't like going to supermarkets, but here is one of the hostages. His dream was to go back into the supermarket. And I guess it's because there's a freedom that he felt there, that he was able to choose what he wanted to choose in a situation where he couldn't choose anything. Since being released on October the 13th, his dreams have completely gone the opposite. Most nights, when he closes his eyes, he's back in the tunnel on a dirty piece of foam mattress in the 2 square meter, 22 square foot, that is, room. 2 square meter and 22 foot. I'm not sure that's quite right, but anyway, that's what the news said. Where he was kept with 5 other hostages, counting each tile and crack in the cement to distract himself from the severe hunger and nearly daily torture. I was in the lowest place a person can be before death, he says. I had no control over anything. This is why I believe he had the dream of the supermarket where he could choose. This is the ultimate place, I guess, Nathalie, where you can choose what you want. You know, the items are there and you select the items that you want.
It's like a freedom.
Right. It's
freedom of eating whatever you want, freedom to choose when you have many things, yeah.
Yeah. So during the worst part of his captivity, he was so skinny he could count his individual vertebrae coming out from his spine. Now that he's back home in Dimona in southern Israel, Kalfon is trying to piece back together a post-captivity life. We talk about the problem of the war, we talk about the massacre of civilians, we talk about the hostages being taken, and we have talked about their return to life back in Israel, but they are in a huge post-traumatic stress syndrome situation. We have mentioned before on the program about the Nova survivors, those from the musical festival, who many have sadly committed suicide. Many of them have extreme trauma issues, post-traumatic stress from what they saw, and many of them are finding life very difficult. They are finding it impossible to go back to normal, which is...
This is interesting when you speak about that, because we've been in Africa and coming back, so very different life, very simple. And when we came back to the UK, if you remember, it was hard. It was very hard to go back to a normal life. So you can imagine people who have nothing, and suddenly you have everything again that you want. And even more, because people will try to look after them and they recognize them. And so it's like your sense even are overwhelmed by everything. So I think it's tough. It's tough. And when you think about the Holocaust survivors, same. They weren't speaking so much, and sometimes it took a long time for them to speak. I remember there was a lady in America. She lives some very traumatic things. And it took a long, long time for her. Rose she was called. And after a while, no, after a long, long time, she could speak about it, but she couldn't before because it was too traumatic to speak about it.
And it's been one of the issues in Israel since we've been here, is the issue of post-traumatic stress for soldiers,
For many people.
for the elderly because they were in wars, and
For the family of the soldiers.
It's a big issue, now he spends his time, he juggles his time with appointments with doctors and psychologists. One of the strangest aspects of his release is his entire 2 years of captivity was about pleasing the captors, the Hamas terrorists who took him captive. Now he spends his time being people trying to please him. And everyone is trying to please me, he says, like Nathalie was saying. Before taken hostage at the Nova Music Festival, which we're mentioning, Kaufman worked at his family bakery in the town of Arad and was studying finance and investments. When rockets started flying at the start of the Hamas attack on October the 7th, Kaufman said that he and his closest friend tried to help others at the festival escape. Kaufman remembers pleading with a group of people who had taken cover in a yellow dumpster, in a big skip, we call them in England, telling them to come with him, for they were in a death trap. For 2 years he wondered what had happened to them. He didn't know, he had no communication. And sadly, when he was released, he learned that all of them had been murdered by the terrorists. He says that while in captivity, every moment felt like eternity, like it would never end.
Like, again, what you were saying, when you are captive, you need to please your captor to keep alive. So it's like you try to behave in a way that your captor will be okay and won't kill you, because sometimes they're not happy and they can just kill you. So you can imagine, day in, day out, and you don't know when you are going to go out. And it took like 2 years.
And many of the hostages didn't survive and were murdered in captivity.
Yes.
Now, one of the things that's happened in 2026, as we launch into it, is a wave of price rises in Israel. I know that's something that's happening throughout the world. I would say it's something of a globalist agenda, the wave of tax rises and price rises.
Yes, and also is written in the Torah, is written in the Bible, that at the end of the time, everything will go up and up and up. So we know that is part of the prophecy of the coming of the Mashiach.
Right, so as of January the 1st, the cost of electricity, water, cooking gas has increased, together with municipal property tax rates and other taxes, shrinking the already shrunk disposable income of Israeli citizens, whose pocket is getting smaller and smaller, but the demands on them is getting bigger and bigger. There's prices, or the households, by the way, are already struggling with 2 years of war and all of the effects of that. Beginning January the 1st, the price of electricity is going up by 1.5%. Price of cooking gas will go up by 5%. Water tariffs will increase by 2.5%. Allegedly, the increases are due to the consumer price index adjustments. Well, I don't believe that. Interest rate changes and energy costs, including the needless and stupid carbon tax on fossil fuels. Absolutely ridiculous. Fossil fuels,
it's part of the agenda,
have been the power for the world for many decades and come naturally. I mean, it's the most natural type of fuel, coal or wood or oil. These are natural fuels obtained from the earth. They're not unnatural, made in a laboratory, or strange chemicals. These are fuels that have been given to us, they're God-given, with the creation. and it's for me
And
it's
it's renew itself.
right.
They
And for
renew
me,
itself too.
it's an abomination that they are being targeted. This is like the targeting of godly things in the earth, and sadly, fossil fuels is one of them, and has been given all the blame for everything. Now, I just might just add before I finish that bit is just to say I do agree that pollution should be controlled. I'm not saying we shouldn't fight pollution and do everything we can to decrease pollution and look after and certainly look after the environment. But the tax on fossil fuels is at best needless. Okay, Nathalie, I know that you have things to share with our friends in the new year in 2026,
Yes.
and to encourage us as we go into this new year.
Yes. So, and I'm always excited about that because that we spoke already about the Hebrew letters, how it is important, how it is really the building block that God has used for creating the heaven and the earth. So it's like power little letters. Sometimes I call them VIP letters, and because they are very special. And yeah, God used these letters to write the Torah. So the Torah is something very special. When we say Torah, many times the translation is written the law, but Torah doesn't mean law at all. Torah means instruction. So when we say the Torah, it's just the instruction of God. So I like to say that more than the Bible, because sometimes it's like the Bible. Oh, this was Eliezer ben Yehuda, who was saying that too when we were speaking. He said, a Bible is like many books together, but this is one book. So he liked to say the Torah, and I love to say the Torah too. And now Eliezer is gone, and now we have to carry on the work that he was doing, which is speaking about the Hebrew language, how beautiful it is. We have so many prophecies who are saying that the Torah will be for, obviously, the Jewish people that God has given to them, but God is really adding more people and to really rediscover the Torah, because one thing, when you read Genesis, from chapter 1 to chapter 11, there was only one language, and this one language was Hebrew. So he never been lost, because the Hebrew people, the Jewish people, kept it. But all the people were speaking Hebrew before. And God said in Zephaniah 3:9, I will give it again. Again, the translation is not always saying that. He said, I will give them a pure language. But he's like, no, I will give them back. So it means that we lost it and that he's going to give it back. He knows what he's doing. His ways are much higher than our ways. And we really don't know his ways. We know tiny bits. And every time more you know, more you see his amazing grace, his amazing way of doing things, and we have just to follow him. It's not us. And so today we're going to look at the first letter. In the Hebrew language, there is 22 letters, and plus 5 who change shape. We'll speak about that later on. But the first letter is called Aleph, and it's a beautiful letter. I can do it like with my hands. It's like kind of a cross, but it's like a little yud, which is a smaller letter on the top and on the back, and you have the vav, which is just one straight line in the middle. And the little letters can speak to us about humility, that we need to be humble to understand the ways of God, because He's always bigger than us. There is one little letter, like the yud and the vav, and the other yud. And the vav is a connection between heaven and earth, okay? And so, Aleph also, you have to understand the letters of Hebrew is like so many things. You can speak for 1 hour about just one letter. It's just amazing. So I'm just giving you a glimpse of the thing, and you can find more if you want. And so you have this little letter, Yud, and you have Vav, and you have the other one, the other Yud also on the top. And these letters, so Aleph is the number 1. That's it, because I was saying they have numbers. So every letter has a number. So Aleph is one, and it represents the master. It represents God. It represents also Aluf is the champion, and is one, but he has thousand. Oh yeah, interesting enough, he has 1,000 qualities because Aleph is one, but if you say Aleph when you count in Hebrew, Aleph is 1,000, and is exactly the same because like the vowels are not written in the Torah, so you can really play with the names, and you can find more things, but knowing that they're always connected. You are not playing to try to find things. You know that they are connected together, and you find the connection. So like the one, Aleph, first letter, is the master, who also is Aleph, 1,000 qualities, which is our God has 1,000 and even more, but like we say 1,000 qualities. So this is just beautiful to see that. Another thing that we can see also, when there is two names, you have Geula, which means redemption, which means like when everything will be put back together properly, and like the Garden of Eden, we will go back into what God has done, and like we fall, but he has the road of redemption. So when we will be back onto full redemption, when the Mashiach comes, the Messiah, is called Geula, and in this name you have the Aleph. But if you take this Aleph away, you have Gola, and Gola is the exile. So even for us personally, because I like to put the thing personally, if God is not in the middle of us, in our life, in the throne of our lives, we're in exile because we don't know where we are going, and we're praying like for these boys and girls who've been like for 2 years, kidnapped. This is just terrible thing, and God is going to bring them, and we're praying that God is bringing them back in His path and the full redemption, that they will be healed. But when God is not in the middle of our lives, we are in exile. And interesting enough, we saw there is also a lot of testimony of people who were kidnapped, young. Most of them were young. They had a revelation that God is God, and that Shabbat is important. There is some beautiful testimonies of them. It doesn't mean that life is easy, but they know that He has redeemed them in one way of this terrible time, and that they have their lives again, that they knew that they didn't go to have their life again. So when God is back into our life, we go into the road of redemption. It doesn't mean that it's fully redemption right now, but we're coming into that, okay? So this is a few things that I wanted to tell you. There is one more thing also that I wanted to tell you, which is beautiful. Again, when we speak about this Aleph, you can play with the numbers, and this little Yud and the Vav and the little Yud, so it's like the Aleph, the full name is like almost 3 letters together. It's like the Yud is 10, the Vav is 6, and the Yud down is 10 or so. So when you put them all together, it's 26. 6 plus 10 plus 6, okay? And is it right? No, 10, sorry, 10 plus 6 plus 10, sorry. 10 plus 6 plus 10 is 26. And this is the same for the Tetragrammaton, which is the holy name of God. When you say Yud, He, and Vav and He, or Yehovah, or people, sometimes they don't know exactly how to say the name. Some people say, yes, it is Yehovah. So this name is the same numerical number than the Aleph. We show again the oneness of God too, because He is one. And when the Jewish people say the Shema Israel, they say God is one. Eloheinu I can't remember, Adonai Echad, okay. They don't want to say the precious name of God, so they say Adonai, and not Yud-He and Vav and He, so they say Adonai, Adonai Echad, and Adonai Echad means He is one. So we know that He is one. We know that everything that He's doing is perfect. It's hard sometimes to think that, but we know deep inside of us, we know that what He's doing is perfect. He's using His letters. He's bringing back to us, because you know there is a lot of Christians now who are going back to the Hebrew, and it's not them who are doing it. It's like God who is speaking to them about that. It's like some people have dreams. Some people have dreams of the name of God, of the holy name of God. We have so many stories to tell you, and maybe we'll speak about that a bit more next time. But there is many stories. Many people are learning Hebrew again, slowly, but like they discover, and I tell you, when you read it in Hebrew, the Psalms, they go straight to your heart, because the translation is really taking things out, and when you read it in Hebrew, it's like straight to your soul. So here we go. This is what we're learning, and I really pray that all around, when you hear that, it really inspired you, and you can learn, you can find things how to learn. I wrote also a book, you can go on our website, which is called The Beauty of the Hebrew Language, because it is. And you can find more.
And there's an e-version on Amazon. On Amazon, there's an e-version which you can order via the website www.israelfirst.org, and you can see Nathalie's book on an e-version from...
In different translations.
Right.
Too.
Yeah. And you can also get the news. We do a daily news story, and you can see what's happening in Israel. We don't have time on the program to go through all the news stories, but you can get a daily news story from our website. You can subscribe to our Substack account. That's also on the website through the news, through the media button. You can also support the program. It's because of your support that we're able to come into your home today, that we're able to go around the world with the message of Israel, with the message of what's happening here behind the scenes, with the message of the Hebrew understanding. We're able to do this news program, this Hebrew teaching, because of financial support. So please consider helping us with that. You can go on the donate button and make a donation today and change people's lives as we're able to go into people's homes with this message. Well, it's been great to be with you for this first program of 2026. We look forward to seeing you again. And don't forget, we're the program that looks at the land, the people, and the language.